Fascinating.
She was so awesome. Absolutely, just demystified so much. Yeah.
Well, welcome back to All Women, Real Talk for Real Women. And when you hear the word Bitcoin, I know a lot of things come to mind. You think of no middlemen, no banks, cryptocurrency, and the biggest headliner of all, money. Yeah. So Bronwen Town is a qualified chartered accountant, and she's actually built her own mining rig to mine cryptocurrency. She's here to talk about her personal experience and what Bitcoin means to her. Hi Bronwen, welcome to the show.
It's so nice to be here with a bunch of beautiful ladies.
Oh,
thank you. You can come again.
I'm glad I got that one now.
One good thing. So Bronwen, you know, when one thinks about Bitcoin, it's just your mind kind of, well, my mind kind of like sprawls everywhere because I don't quite understand what it's about.
Okay, so to answer the question, I want to make sure that I can address what you struggle with the most.
I think it's just what is it? I mean, every time you go online, every time you open Facebook or go anywhere, it's like Bitcoin. You go, and when the first time I heard, I was like, what the hell is that? And then there's mines and rigs, and they're not actually mining anything. And then there's chain block. It just seems a bit like it's
Up in the air,
But
maybe.
overwhelming.
yes, yeah, like what
well.
is it?
So let's start with the creation, I guess.
So the creation of it, and the thing that I want to get people to understand is that when you get your salary paid or when you get money into your bank account, do you go and draw it out of an ATM and hold X amount of cash in your hands?
Yes.
All of it.
No, I'm joking.
I'm glad that you do. I'd love to have that moment in my bed. Falling proper. But you don't go and do that. But you know you have value in your bank account because you have a little number on a screen or in your banking app or whatever the case may be. So it's simply changing your perspective from thinking this is something that has no backing. It's just something new. And that is fundamentally based on what is called the blockchain. It's blockchain technology that holds it up. And what interests me about Bitcoin is not actually the financial side of it, it's what is happening in technology. Blockchain, what is holding Bitcoin up, is the most amazing technology that I think has ever been created in the century. It's going to change the way we do business. It's going to change the way currency is working. Bitcoin is currently proving that. Blockchain has so much functionality, and it's to get people to understand that. It's just that Bitcoin is the first thing that's made it famous almost.
You're going to have to break that down for me.
Yes.
I don't even know what blockchain is.
Okay, so, and that's where a lot of people get lost, is on the technical side of it. So blockchain was developed, I think, initially in the 1970s, the actual kind of coding and maths behind it. There's a lot of...
Really?
Yeah, it's all based on, I'm going to have to say this right, but cryptography. It's the side of, if you read the Da Vinci Code, you know, they've got those cryptography things. It's exactly that, okay? So think of blockchain as that Da Vinci Code kind of thing, right? So blockchain technology is the thing that Bitcoin is built on. And effectively, think about it like you've got little blocks. Inside that block, you've got your data. So what information I'm sharing. In Bitcoin, it's I'm sending my money to your bank account or to your bank account, which is unique. And that's referred to as the hash on the block, which is almost like a fingerprint. So every block and every transaction has its own unique fingerprint, which is the cryptography side of it, the math side that generates. Okay. So that's the two sides of your block. You got your data and you get the unique fingerprint that gets generated. So every time the data inside changes, your fingerprint changes because it's building from something new. And then the other side of the
I still
block.
feel like I'm glazing over.
Am I not making it funny? Where am I losing you? What?
I don't know. It's like, I think maybe I'm trying to be too literal.
Yes.
Like an actual thing and the actual fingerprint.
Yes.
And
So let's break it down, all right?
Yeah.
If you were going to go into a hospital and you have all of your medical data from the time you were at your family GP, at a doctor, and your mom gave all of your medical history, and then you grew up and you went to varsity and you had a new GP and you gave what you remembered or whatever. And now you're an adult and you go to a hospital and you give whatever GP that kind of information. Imagine if all of that information was in one place, that's your data in the block. And because as you give it, someone knows it's you, they've got your unique ID number. So that's just how this could affect the medical industry. Because now you could have all of your medical information in one place. Any doctor you go to could be able to access it, provided they've got the right security in place. And there are companies that are building blockchains for that. So that's how it gets used.
this sounds, I mean, as you explain it really well because I feel like I'm getting it. But this also sounds like moving forward, it would help people with, financial fraud and financial, people who has dodgy credit history who manage to hide it somehow to get new loans. And it seems a bit like you can't escape now. There's no hiding behind any,
And that's what's unique about blockchain technology, because the third side of the block, so we've spoken about the data and we spoke about the unique fingerprint. The third side, if you want to call that, is the hash or the fingerprint of the previous block. So when you transact on the blockchain, the algorithms that miners solve, they are making sure that this block matches up to the previous block, matches up to the previous block, matches up to the previous block. And it's not on a central database. It's over millions of PCs around the world that are all busy mining and doing this. So that's how the mining element kind of comes in. So committing fraud, you'd have to then go and change the information on thousands of PCs, and that's why you can't have a double transaction.
Nightmare for money laundering.
100%.
Yay!
So let's scale that up to South Africa. So we live in a country where unfortunately we know about fraud and corruption and everything that comes. So imagine if we had blockchain technology in our social grants. Only one person could get one social grant because you only have one ID number.
But don't people create identities in order to have whatever exchange on Bitcoin?
Yeah, so there is that negative side to Bitcoin, because you can't track it to a person anymore. But there you need to understand, Bitcoin isn't truly anonymous. It's almost like a pseudo-anonymous currency. So yes, you may not know that my account number is linked to Bronwen Town or whoever it may be linked to, but I can see that money hit that account or that wallet, which it's now called, where you get other cryptocurrencies like Monero and I think Ethereum, I'm not 100% sure about that, but where they are truly anonymous, where you can't even look into the blockchain and see the balance. So it all depends, and that's what is so important. And when you're looking at Facebook and you're seeing all of these things fly at you, there are fraudsters. We're working in an unregulated market.
Good heavens.
There's risk. So
A lot of risk.
the first thing, and I'm lucky to say that I've got a financial professional qualification behind me that's kind of helped me
navigate your
stumble
way.
along. Not everybody has this. Not everybody understands normal currency, let alone cryptocurrency.
That's me, exactly.
So there's a lot of talk about technology, right? But for the average person who's just trying to use the thing, where do we go? How do we use it, say, at Pick and Pay? Like, how is it practically? What are we doing with Bitcoin? How are we using it?
So the first thing I'd say to the average person who's watching this and trying to understand Bitcoin, and it's very important, is do your own research. So you have to do your own research, make sure you understand it. And 10 years ago, Bitcoin was this unknown thing that nobody could trade with. It was like these computer geeks that had built this thing and you couldn't use it anywhere. There were articles a couple months ago about Pick and Pay wanting to be able to accept Bitcoin. There's online shopping companies that are looking at, and I don't want to mention names or anything like that, but that are looking at taking and accepting Bitcoin at the moment. So it is becoming the currency that you are going to be able to trade with in quite an open way. It's just we're getting there. So
Do you see it replacing, money currency at some point? I think people one day will just have a card and, no one carries cash anymore.
A lot of me actually says we're there already, because how many people have a card and don't carry cash? It's this intangible thing that's in a bank account. So and from an accounting point of view, I kind of look at it that over the next 10 years, is the definition of currency as we understand it actually going to change? Is it not going to be just paper-backed currency? Is it going to be this crypto blockchain-backed currency? And I think we're almost already there. Like I said, you don't go and draw out your entire salary. You have value on a number in an app. It's not the cash in your hand.
And then also with international currencies, do you see it finally kind of replacing that, so you don't go to the UK and spend pounds or Europe and euros or US dollars, or do you see that a global crypto
currency?
Besides the biblical implications of the question that I think I could open myself up to. The thing that you need to understand about cryptocurrency, if you go look on any app at the moment, there are over 1,500 of them. So just like there's the dollar, the pound, the rand, there was the Zimbabwean dollar and whatever else. So currency in the world changes, financial markets change, and there's not just Bitcoin. There's I think over 350 billion US dollars in cryptocurrency as of this morning. So that's a lot of money, and it's over 1,500, 1,700 different currencies. Not all of them are valid and real currencies, and that's what I'm saying. You need to do your own research, understand what this actually is, and how you can use it in business, in government, in media, in anything. You can use this technology. You just need to be able to open your mind up to it and change your perspective.
That's really interesting. I'm glad you came to talk about it. I'm coming around. I'm coming around. I'm kind of, it was first like, I'm open to it now. Before I was like, Bitcoin, never catch on. You know what I mean? I'm now going, okay, kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
You know,
but you just have to look at it, at what it actually is, and stop thinking about it as how are we doing it today. Look at where we're going to tomorrow.
And that's the thing. I mean, you know, lastly, I just want to find it from you. Okay, so I'm bringing in Bitcoin and it's replacing my normal currency. I mean, I need to know what are the advantages here, you know, what am I really looking at? Maybe I'm asking a silly question, I don't know, but I also just don't really understand what it's about. So why would I choose it instead of?
Yes.
And also, when are the regulations going to come about? Because as far as I know, from what I've read, it needs to be regulated more. It's the same problem like you were explaining earlier, just with regards to our internet, you know, that hasn't even reached a point where it's properly regulated. So something like money that's floating out like, my nerves, girl.
Pseudo-identities.
And the professional CA side of me is freaking out about this, because how are you going to regulate something that is so decentralized?
Right.
And that's where I kind of pose the question of, is the definition of currency going to change? How are we going to view cryptocurrency from a tax perspective, from a VAT perspective, and you need people and thought leaders who not only understand finance, but also understand technology and understand what you can do with it. All of these kind of industries, the fact that I'm on a digital kind of platform at the moment, 10 years ago it was TV, radio, those kind of things. Now it's blogs and podcasts.
Sure.
You know, that's where the world is changing to, and we've got to take that kind of step. But it's not just finance and just media and just whatever. We need to move together to get to the most efficient future.
Well, I think for me personally, you know, my brain has slightly opened, like I said, ever so slightly. Definitely learned so much. Would love to have you back again. I think we've just reached the tip of the iceberg here, and we need to get the whole
deeper in.
the deeper end of that iceberg and just find out more about that. So we'd love to have you back on the show
that's
again.
fantastic.
Thank you so much for joining us. Well, that's it for now. This is All Women, Real Talk for Real Women. We'll be back.
Cut.